some of these techniques adapted, because now we're going to focus on section 1, right? So we finished treating the back as a whole with our 4 to 6 effleurage, right? You can then transition with side effleurage. So that basically says, hi, we're now going to be working on this side. You can do 4 to 6 of that. That's fine to transition in that way. You can also be more specific. This is your anchor. See the way I'm anchoring in here? If that needed a little bit more love, you can then come in with a more specific loose fist, right? So I'm slowing it down a little bit and I'm being more specific on these top traps. You could use that. Also, what you could use is double thumbs. So you have double thumbs together. I'm in a side lunging stance and I'm lunging into it. As I hit the scapula, I come back. Lunging into it, come back. Lunging into it, coming back. And you keep repeating the technique as you feel the muscle begin to soften, right? If that technique is not working and you need another technique, that's when you anchor down here and then you can come into just one thumb. So we're just working with one side and then you can be working with reverse thumbs. But look what happens. My anchor also comes off the other side and I'm using my other hand here specifically on section 1 to strip into it. Now, one of my favourite analogies when we're working with muscles that are hypertonic, which means that it's really tight, or that have knots and trigger points, he's got a lot in here, is that you want to car crash that muscle tissue. If you've ever seen a car crash or been in a car crash, if the car's hit, what happens is the car will bang that way, it'll go up in there, it'll go down. With muscles, it's the same way. You want to push it that way, you want to throw it up that way, you want to move it down there, you want to move it down there. The more you manipulate the muscle tissue, the more you car crash that muscle tissue, the looser it's going to go, the more it's going to evolve, right? So you want to disturb the muscle tissue as much as possible. Okay, so we can be using this. And now you can steamroller. So after you've done more detailed work, then you have a straight arm, I'm anchoring in, taking the pressure off and effleuraging around the side. You don't need to get involved down there because we're focusing in on section 1, okay? So that's specific techniques there for section 1. Your next section, again, you can come in because it's an effleurage. Always transition with effleurage if you wish. Right, you have a choice. You can work the full area like that. So that's side effleurage. Okay? Or without this area, you can just come straight in and you can be working there. That's alternate effleurage. So I'm alternating my hands. And I'm specifically working on section 1. Okay? So we're giving it some love. I call effleurage give it some love. If you're working with a client, and you kind of forget what you're doing or you get a bit mixed up or whatever, go into an effleurage till you get it again. How do you find it again? You just go, where is the tension, where is it tight? It's there. Okay, it's there, right, what technique is it? It's thumbs, it's double thumbs, or it's fingers. That's how you catch yourself back if you kind of think, I don't know what I'm doing, okay? And that will happen in the beginning, okay? So you can alternate effleurage. Then I'm going to anchor at the shoulder to stop the shoulder moving. And then I'm using digital finger circles all around that top trap area and coming in between the spine and the scapula. Pulling it back and giving it some love. Then you can bring the arm back. When you do that, you tighten the muscle tissue. When the muscle tissue here is extended with the arm down, it's nice and loose. After you've worked with it that way, you then want to bring it back and tighten it so it comes around. And one of the techniques that you can use is you can be working with double thumbs, coming around the scapulae and stripping into the scapulae area. I was working with somebody earlier on, Gada, I think it was you, and I always say to the students, again, imagine you've got your imaginary line there. Imagine here you've got 3 tracks, 3 train tracks. In general, the muscle tissue that's all there will cover those 3 areas, right? So if you imagine you've got 3 train tracks there, and you're working those 3 train tracks with these techniques, then that's one way of loosening off the muscle tissue. So generally you can do 3 times in at the scapulae, 3 times in at the midsection, and then if the tension's here next to the spine, like you identified with your client earlier on, it was next to the spine, so you want to be doing more of that there next to the spine to work with where the tension is. Give it some love, pull it back. Thumbs, work, pull it back with hands, okay? Now, if you're working with your client and you're like, wow, it's there, it's really tight, you're working with double thumbs, you're stripping away, it's not working, you've done it 3 times, then another thing you can do is when it's there, is to do a bit of vibration. So again, with your fast movements, you want to anchor in and you want to vibrate it. If it's really tight and locked in, again, you've got to car crash it, you've got to stimulate it, you've got to try and push into it even further. So you can use a bit of vibration there too. A deeper way is to extend the arm up, have your hand cradled under the front of the shoulder girdle, bring the arm into what I call a chicken wing, so it looks like a chicken wing you get in an American restaurant, so this is the chicken wing. And then we're going to be using loose knuckles over your 3 train tracks, and that feels very good. So that is the deepest movement that you can do there. But you need to warm your client up before you can go in this way, okay? Really for Dave, this is what he needs because he's so strong and the muscle tissue's that well developed. If I was working on somebody who was very small, they weren't active, they had very low muscle tissue or body fat, I wouldn't be doing a big deep movement like this because you're really working with skin and bones then. So again, you need to have an understanding of what is it that I need for this type of person. And again, when you do your case studies, you'll get a better understanding of what do I need. So that's different ways of working with the arm there. So first of all, you have the arm off, alternate effleurage, anchor, fingers, pulling the arm back, and then you've got your 3 tracks. So it's double thumbs, pushing it around, points of tension, give it some vibration. Into the chicken wing. This again, if again you're not strong like me and you're working with a bigger client, right? You can use a rolled up towel and you can anchor the client like that so you're not having to hold the shoulder, right? And then you bring the arm around here and you hold the arm in and you can work like that. So I'm pretty strong, so I can do it, but for the smaller people, that might be easier for you. Again, you're more important, your back, your body mechanics is more important. What you don't want to be doing is trying and lifting a really big guy, and you're really sore that night, you're really sore the next day. Okay, so you would work like that and then take the towel away. And then you can come around to the other side of the client, and your set of techniques for here. This is the pestrissage, so this is kneading. This feels very good for the client. This is a very good technique to do. So we're passing the muscle tissue between the fingers. And then also you can sweep up with a kind of side effleurage, taking it out the head. And you do come into the hairline then. Come round here so you can see what I'm doing. You guys are okay, it's just the guys that are at the back of me. So you want to sweep it out. And then here we've got double hands over the top of the traps till we come to the shoulder. Bringing it back to the side of the spine. In between the spine and the scapula, coming now onto the top of the rotator cuff till you hit the arm and you come back. Now where it's tight, you keep working with that area. So instead of me repositioning down and go, whoa, it's tight there, you keep working with that technique over that area. So you could be doing about 6 times over that area to try to get the muscle tissue to loosen off. And you take that technique to here, to again where the line is. it doesn't come on here to the rib area. It belongs there. So that's why we have our imaginary line. So you guys get it in your head, right, that belongs there. That's those techniques from there. So you're in this way effectively. What we've got here is top traps, levator scapulae, rhomboid, mid traps and lower traps. Okay? The rotator cuff area, you've got the supraspinatus, the infraspinatus, teres major and teres minor. So there's 4 muscle groups there that all cover onto the top of the scapula. Again, please don't worry about the names of the muscle tissues, you can learn that separately. But that's why we have all these muscles that we're working and car crashing, because they're all friends, they all talk to each other. Okay?
Yep.
Great. Okay, let's get to it. You're going to do all this now, I'll talk you through it, right?
Smiling at us.
Right, so whoever was a body the last time, you can swap over, but you're going to carry on working. But tomorrow will be kinder to you and you'll receive more. Okay? Are you okay or do you want a break?
I'm fine.
Right. Because if